So we saw that the combined format kicks out this information. What other formats are there in Morgan? Output log, here we go. Oh, that's why I had Slack up, because I was slacking you guys.
Which one do you think is the most important? And what do you use your slide
I rolled my own. What I did was I logged to I needed a lot more. Okay, I was a middleware, and I rolled my own logging because the logging that came with the framework I was using would only keep like the last 2,000 logs. And so I rolled my own to log to my own persistence layer. So I wrote my own logging. And that way, it was called parse.com. It was owned by Facebook. And at one point they just said, we're shutting down. So we had to move our code to Heroku. All right, so here is the NPM for Morgan. This is the GitHub site. Here's Morgan. You can read about Morgan. So here's some things. They are in here somewhere. Where are the formatting things? Okay, here's combined. All right, and it says that is the standard Apache combined log output. So I guess that's the way Apache logs. Let's change. Apache is a web server. Let's change it to common and see what common logs. Nope, it doesn't matter. It's just some other tool, some other thing that logs. What is this? There we go, finally. All right, so this is what common looks like. Common's much smaller. All right. That's bare bones right there. Let's see another one.
Was that a 304 status?
304 status, yeah, it's a redirect. I don't know why. Yeah. Dev, we'll look at dev, short, dev and short. Let's see what dev and short do for us. Dev, restart the server, hit the endpoint. Dev looks like, oh, dev is even much smaller. They seem to keep getting smaller. You want to see another one, or you had enough? Who wants to see another one? I can't hear you. I would always go for the long ones. The more information, the better for us. You know, maybe if you were doing some sort of performance logging, smaller, better. If you're doing 100,000 of these a second, or 1,000 a second, or whatever, you might want to go smaller. Could be faster. But in my opinion, almost all logs, the bigger the better.
So is this one just saying, hey, it took 4.56 milliseconds to load this page?
Possibly. I don't have to look at it. I mean, this is totally cool for you guys to go and investigate what this means. So dev says concise colored by response, status token to be colored from web server, yellow for error code, sign color. Yeah, it is a response type thing. Right? We don't need to, in my opinion, we don't need to go down a rabbit hole of the different formats for Morgan logging. In my opinion, it's enough that you know that there are different formats, and you can go look you can do what I just did here and play with them and put them in there and see what they do. But in reality, one of two things are going to happen. Most of you are, those of you who become node developers and get hired to write node code, you're going to walk into a shop that has logging set up for you. It's good that you know that there's loggings and there's different things. Unless, of course, at some point when you get to become a middle developer or a more experienced developer, you might do something called greenfield. And greenfielding means, hey, go prove this little concept out, okay? And you're going to go set up your own node server and do something for them. It's just a prototype, all right? And in there, you're going to want to say, hey, in the iron yard, I know that Morgan logs. I'm going to put Morgan in here, and I'm going to go look at Morgan to figure out what log I want. I'm totally cool that you know that there's Morgan and there's logging, and if you need to go do it on a job or set it up, you can run it. This is enough information for you.
We're not going to be expected to use any of these different formats. I can just assume all of the lessons and assignments, I can just use Kumon.
Yes. Yeah, and we don't even, we introduce this to you and we don't, and then you don't do anything with this. There's no activity, there's no project. So yes, use Morgan combined, that's, and you know that there's logging, and you know that there's different formats. Boom. Okay. I think I slacked that URL to Morgan. Yep, okay. Enough about logging. Bum, 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 bum. Let's move on. This next section is just talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. And we've already talked about it from Fran. What is a session? What is authentication? Before we even go in here, you've already heard this once. You're going to hear it a second time. Client comes into the server returns a cookie, a session ID, and a cookie, and the client and the server pass that cookie back and forth from there. And that's how the client is known to the server that they're coming. Right? Remember that from front end? 1 through 5, if you remember that from front end. Okay. So, this is going to be a review. This is how authentication works. Client requests something, server, I would say, server requests username. Oh, this is for login. This is not just the session cookie. This is the login flow. Client wants to go somewhere. Server says, hey, you got to log in. Give me your username and password. Client logs in with username and password. Server says, okay, you're authenticated, you can see what you want to see, all right? Google, you drop into Google, there's no login to go to Google's homepage. But if you click on, I want to see Drive, or I want to see my email or something, it'll make you log in. That's what the problem is. All right, remember this, client authenticates by providing credentials, server provides a session ID, session ID is stored in a cookie. All right, this is more for a REST call. If you want to make a REST, if I have a server and I am exposing REST interfaces through AJAX, through JSON, then I'm going to give you a token and you're going to pass that token to me so I know that I've already said it's okay for you to do. All right, that's what this is. Client authenticates by applying credentials. This will most likely be a cookie. The server will return a session ID, and the session ID is saved in the cookie and goes back and forth. I gotta take back what I said. This is not RESTful because they're talking about a cookie, and a cookie is only in a browser. You don't have cookies when you're doing REST, so I misspoke. Except for this line. It's right. OAuth 2, you do this with Google. Yeah, okay. Let's go back to the Google login. Let's say whether it be Google login or you go to another site that says, hey, log in, you log in, okay, or Get, or LinkedIn, or whatever. This is that flow. All right, you end up logging in through Google or LinkedIn or whatever, and then when that's done, the session ID is passed into a cookie back in the browser. That's that. And I think I've said this time and time again, when we're talking about the thief, you don't care about, this is FYI, you don't write code to do the cookie stuff. It's done for you under the covers, okay? What you do have to do, and what you're gonna do in your project is, you're gonna put in a form, you're gonna say user ID and password, you're gonna click it, and when it comes into you, you're gonna validate, is that user ID and password okay? And if it is, you're gonna let them in, otherwise you're gonna say, bad credentials, try again. That's what you're gonna do in your project. Security concerns, stability concerns, excessive message usage. Everything that has to do with authentication in the web world has security concerns, right? You've heard cross-site request forgery, cross-site scripting, SQL injection, phishing attacks, all right? So anytime you have to authenticate yourself, there's gonna be some security, right? So there's security concerns are huge. Junior developer, you're not really too worried about security concerns because that's gonna be up at the senior developer architect level. Because they're not gonna let a junior dev figure out their security policy. That's gonna be done way up here, all right? So, excessive memory usage is a bit of a misnomer. What happens is that the server has to keep session information. You're going to see this in your project. You're going to see it. The server has to keep session information around all the users that come in, all right? And so obviously that takes up memory. Memory is cheap. Memory is huge. Memory might have been a problem in 1985, but it's really not a problem now. Stability concerns, scalability concerns, the only thing that I have to say about that is that when your browser goes to Amazon or Netflix or whatever, and you start a session, and every time your browser goes back, it has to go to that same server normally that has your session on it. So one server might get a lot more traffic than other server if sessions stay alive on one server. Who follows that? It doesn't matter. Well, I didn't know. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I thought we were straight.
No, I'm sorry. I think it said 1 through 5. Okay, I get it. No, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Okay. This again is up at the theoretical level. You all really don't need to worry too much about it, if anything at all. All right. What's that?
Just that it exists.
Just that it exists. There are cookies passed and forth, and once you start authenticating, there's going to be security problems. People can attack you if they get a hold of your cookie. All right. Things like that. We talked about this in Thief. Authentication is you have to be able to prove you are who you are. Normally, in a website, you type in your password, user ID and password at the bottom. Okay, that's authentication. HTTP cookies, we're going to look at one in a moment. We looked at that in Thief. That's the information that the browser will store and send back on every request from the server to say, hey, I've already been there. So the very first time you go, I'm going to show you this. The very first time, like if you clear all your cookies, and then you go hit a server, you'll see that you have a cookie on there with an ID. So every time you go back to that server, it'll say, hey, I've been here before. And that what happens is the very first time you go to a server, the server is going to return cookie information that gets stored. And every time the browser sees you going back to that server, it's going to say, hey, is there a cookie for that server? here you go, and that's how cookies work. You have no cookie, you go hit the server returns a cookie, the browser stores it. Every time you go back to that server, the browser checks its cookie to see if a cookie's been stored for that server. Yes, I'll send it along. That's cookie browser cookies in a nutshell. All right, so this is what I've been talking about. I guess this is the browser, and this is the server. The first time, come to the server, username and password, goes back, okay, and it sets a cookie. Cookie gets stored on the browser. Every time thereafter, the browser sends the cookie along. So the server knows who's been there before. Questions? The server is not the browser. The server is a machine in a room that's probably about 50 degrees with about 100 other machines, and that's where your node code is running. I mean, here, when we start up the node server on our system, we are running the server on the node server on our Mac, and the browser is on the Mac. So when you're developing locally on your Mac, you have the server running and you have the browser running. But when your code gets deployed to test, staging, production, it gets deployed maybe to the Amazon cloud, maybe to Rackspace, maybe to the Google Cloud, maybe somewhere, but it's off deployed to a server somewhere on the internet.
So that set cookie session equals is a
Part of the response from the HTTP. The HTTP request comes in, the HTTP response will have this header set in it. The browser will see that header set and store that information as a cookie. That's the HTTP response. The 200 is the response, HTTP response. In the response, it has this set cookie header. Yeah. Alrighty. There's references, if you want to go look at them. Now we talk about how we're going to do session management in Node. All right, we need a session for every user every browser that comes and hits us. For every browser that comes and hits us, we're going to set up a session. And we won't see it here, but you normally time out your sessions so that you don't keep sessions around forever. You might time out your session to be on my Texas website. I can time out the sessions after 12 hours. Amazon or Netflix might keep your sessions open for 30 days or something. And then after that, you might say, hey, you need to log in. Okay? Oh, that's not a question. All right. So we need session data. Session data is where we store information about things that come into us. Each browser that hits us, it will have its own cookie, and it will have different. Each one will have its own session information. This is funny here. Here's where to go. Terminology, authentication, HTTP cookies. This section, terminology, authentication, HTTP cookies. All right, so just repeated what it was from before. Now we get to talk about code. Yeah.
So all these different packages we're using, are these just like the industry standard, or let's say, is it possible that someone has created like another NPM that does the same exact thing, and this is just almost a preference for doing this?
Very much so. People are creating NPMs by the hundreds to thousands to 100,000.
Okay, so
These are the ones that I says over the years. Yeah. And some of them started early in the bug fixes. You know, somebody's writing code for free. Right? It might be a company that has some company, like IBM is probably out there writing some node modules. You know, some bigger companies might have people working on this for stuff that they want, and then they'll make it free for everybody. But sometimes it's just a kid in his basement that says, I need this node module, I'm gonna create it, it's out there in the world, and people, I guess what would be interesting is when you go look at NPMs, I would assume that they have how many downloads there have been, and there's probably feedback from the community, and I don't know if there's a rating system in that, but let's go look at one and see. Well, let's finish this lecture first. So there's NPMs, there's some number of thousands of them. I don't know if it's tens of thousands. Yeah, these are the ones I worked with in my last job. So these are the more new. Well, I hold my own. HTTP session, Express Validator, paths, all these things. Yes, these are the industry standard, I guess you would call it. Now we're going to see a new one here called parse URL. Let's go look at it because I've never seen it before. I might have, but I might have killed those brain cells. Parse URL. I'm wondering if I'm looking to see if they have any sort of rating system in here. I don't see one here, but there's got to be somewhere somebody.
Oh yeah, third to size, scroll down, stats downloaded in the last day, last week, last month.
Oh, that's not bad. 12 million downloads in the last month. Probably a pretty popular NPM. Yeah. Not bad at all. Okay. So this sucker is going to, whatever the request URL is, remember the URL is the thing that we type in Google, in the top of our thing, when we type in google.com or we type in IBM.com or, I love games.com or cutetickets.com or whatever. Those are URLs, okay? And this thing is going to pick apart the URL so we can grab information. We could write this code ourselves, and I have. But this thing is, obviously 12 million downloads in the last month or so that a lot of people are going to use this to pick apart their URL instead of writing the code themselves. So back to here. So now we're going to need to require parse URL. I'm going to go back to my code. And again, I'm going to look at my branches, and I want to go to, I'm going to go to branch 5 because this is the 5th part of the lecture, and the code that I wrote on branch 5 deals with the 5th part of the lecture. Make sure I don't have it. See, so, okay, here, this is important for you get people. All right. I'm on, what branch am I on right now? Get branch. I'm on branch 4, I want to move to branch 5, right? But, how do I know if I've made any changes? Get status. I'm going to run get status now, and I'm going to see if I made any changes. Yes, I did. I modified app.js, right? So, I have a few choices now. I can remove those changes, or I can commit those changes, or I can stash those changes for later. I don't want those. In this instance, I don't want those changes. I don't know what it is. All right. So I'm gonna say, get rid of my changes, set it back to what it was originally on the script. So that's what I'm gonna do now. And you all know how to do get app, get commit, get push, right? So the other one is get stash, and I can just stash this, and it'll go away until I say give it back. Who here has done get stash? I'm going to do a stash now, just since you've never seen it. So I'm going to stash it away. And what you do here for stash is you do get the stash. All right, I saved it. I saved it away somewhere, okay? So now if I do a get status, it says, hey, there's nothing to do because I stashed it away. It's no longer here. Now I can get it back with get stash pop, all right? So I'm gonna do get stash pop, and now I have it back. So it's just like, I'm gonna put it away, now I wanna bring it back off the shelf. That's what that does. And you'll use this on the job. You'll be doing something and it'll break or something. You're like, oh man, what do I do? I'm gonna just stash all my changes, go back to it, run it. All right, I'm gonna, so you'll use this.
Is the stash versus
No, it isn't. When I stash it, it's just off there. I can change branch and I can pop it into my new branch.
that was
Yeah.
exactly my question.
Yeah, I can do that. Okay. Stashing, I'm putting it on a shelf. Stashing it away. Come in, I'm actually putting, no, this, yeah. When I come in, I'm saying, I'm done, I'm ready for it, I'm done, you can have it, I'm done. Stash means locally, not out remotely, locally. I'm putting it, I'm stashing it away locally. What it does is it takes that, whatever that file is, it stashes it away, and it sets the file back to what it originally was.
That's your last one.
What's that? No, it's just that I don't, okay, in this case, I was on branch 4, and I did something to it, and I don't want it. But instead of getting rid of it, I'm just gonna stash it away for later, so that I don't have to look at it anymore, I can go back to the way it was before. Just going back to the way it was before.
I would do that if I had made a bunch of changes in my branch and then realized that I hated it all and I broke it, and instead of having to go back through and like comment everything, I would go back and delete. I'm gonna stash it. I hate to get rid of it.
Well, you can get rid of it by, the way to get rid of it completely is a different thing, I'll do that now, okay? So, stash is, I used stash on the job when I was writing some code, and I was in the middle of something, but I wanted to go look at something else on a different branch. So I was on a branch, and I wrote some code, and I was working on it, but I wasn't near done. And it was broken. I couldn't run my code because of the changes I made. And I'm like, ooh, I need to go look at something on another branch. I stashed it away. I got the other branch. I looked at it. I said, okay, I'm going to go back to this branch and I'm going to pop my changes. And now I'm back to my broken code that I'm working on. But that's cool because I could stash it away and go look at it and then get it back.
And that's because you can't switch branches without committing. Sometimes you send it to it.
If I were to, yeah, it won't let you switch branches that's it. I can't, well, you can, sometimes you cannot. Sometimes it won't let you change branches if you got code that you haven't committed. It'll let you change branches if you got new code that it doesn't know about, but if you change something, it won't let you change branches at all. So you can stash it away, change branch, look at something, come back, pop it. So that's get stash, that's a total tangent. Now if I do get status here, now what if I want to get rid of it? Anyone? Yeah, you can get reset, but the simplest way is just get checkout. Get checkout dot. There. Get checkout, we'll throw it away for you. Get checkout dot. Get checkout. We'll throw it away for you. All right.
Cheat sheet on Slack.
Cheat sheet on Git for Slack. Okay, so that was a total tangent, but it was in the moment. Now I want to, I'm going to look at my branches, and I want to change to 5. Get checkout 5. Now watch the code. See, the code is like that. I'm going to do checkout 5. Hey, my code changed. Okay, because now my browser's looking at the new file that I got, right? So back to the lecture. So now we have this parse URL thing. We have to do a get install parse URL minus save, right? In here, get install parse URL minus save. Not get, npm install. I have get on the mind. npm install parse URL save. All right, and I'm going to do an npm install because I don't know if I got the rest of this stuff or not. Yeah, I did. Okay. So back to the lecture. So now, I don't know what this means. It's another one of those things. I don't know what it means. I don't care. If I ever need to do something more than what I'm going to do today, I'll look at it. But at the moment, if you look in my code here for this app use session, if you look in my code, I even wrote myself a note. Set up the session middleware. Don't know what the properties mean yet. At the moment, it works. I don't care. At some point, I might go back and I might care about this. But at the moment, I just know from the lecture that this will work and I'm going to run it. So I'm not going to, I don't intend on taking the value in all these optional parameters because what's more important is how you code the session and not how you set up the session. Don't know, don't know, don't know. At the moment, don't care. It works. Then, the next, here, let's go to, so,
So that's boilerplate, it's gonna look like that.
that's where I use the term boilerplate. Yep. Boilerplate, boom, just do, that's what they gave me in lecture, that's what I taught in my code, it works. Same with what we did for other boilerplate things like setting up the body parser, setting up the express validator. Not really sure what all of it works because what's more important is using it than configuring it. Okay, so they do this in the lecture. They're going to keep track of the different URLs that you hit. I think they have foo and bar or something, and keep track of those different URLs in this code. Now this is worth explaining. This is what I bring to the table. Okay, I wrote this code. Can you see that, or should I make it with a white background? Who wants to see a white background? You do? Okay. You sure? Because I can. All right. Okay, and I can make it a little bigger. Okay, so I wrote some comments. Keep track of which routes have been accessed in the session. Have to do this in the browser because it will save the cookie. I first started doing this through curl, through just an AJAX call, just calling it directly in that browser. And it gave me back a cookie, but I didn't know what to do with it, so I had to go through the browser because the browser knows how to save the cookie. Okay, so this is middleware, app use, right? And what's going to happen is that this, if we had the other lecture that we didn't have, this is how you get something called before it goes to your own. Okay, this is important. This is what you didn't get because you ran out of time. Very important. App use function, request response next. When you write that, this will go, when your request comes in, it'll go here first. And then what you do at the bottom of it is you call next. And then it'll go on to your route.
Was next a parameter from your end, or?
No, it has nothing to do with logging. This is session.
Okay, this is session.
Actually, this has nothing to do with session. This is built into Node. Yeah, this app use request response next is built into Node, and then at the bottom you call next and it goes to your route. This is the lecture that we didn't have. This is that lecture in a nutshell. There's only three things that are important to intercept what's going to your normal routes. This is what's important. This signature, app use, request response next. You do that, and it'll come here before it goes to your route. The only other thing that is important is at the end, you call next so that it goes to the route that it was intended to go to. That is about a 2-hour lecture in a nutshell. Okay? So, 2 things. So I could have just written this. There. Right there, all it's doing is being called before it goes to my route, and I'm saying, okay, I can go to my route. That's the simplest way to intercept a request to one of your routes.
So next is just telling you to jump to the next
Yeah.
link.
So, okay, I think I see what you're asking. When in my browser, I start Node up, and I type in localhost 3000 foo, which goes to this route, right? It'll go here first, and then when I say next, it'll go there. It chains it. Instead of going right here, this thing gets executed first, and then when you say next, it goes to where it's really supposed to go.
Same thing for bar.
Well, this does, yeah, same thing for anything you would have here. Anything at all you would have here, it's gonna go here first, and then it's gonna go to where it's really supposed to go.
So are you loading the page and taking you to different routes on the page? Or it's already loaded and then I'm just a little confused with like maybe the application of it.
Oh God, the application of it's, we're gonna see it. Here, let's run it and just console log something. Console, it's Adam, I can just type log, right? Hi there. I'm gonna call it interceptor, for lack of a better word. Interceptor, okay? So now, when I go to any route at all, right now I have two routes in here. I have foo and bar, right? But any one of them, if I had 100 routes in here, this will be called, and then it'll first, and then it'll go to my route. Okay, you want to see it in action? Where are you, Node? Oh, I was doing all that GitHub stuff. Node app. Okay, start it up. Now, I have a route. Let's see what happens if I just go to 3000. I don't think it's going to happen. Let's see what happens here. Oh, there it goes. I went to a route I don't even have, and it went to that interceptor first. I went to / which is my home route, right? And I haven't even written a route for that, and my interceptor got called. Okay? And then when I say next, it does whatever's next, what the real route is, and then what happens is Node returns, hey, there's nothing there. Okay, but my interceptor got called, and when I said next, then Node took over and said, there's nothing there. Okay, now let's go to foo or log.
Maybe that was more of that. On the latter two functions, they
Routes,
didn't
it's called
finish. Oh, routes. They didn't have a next.
No, because they're normal routes. Routes don't happen. This is the first time you've seen next. You've written Node code for 3 days now. Today's the first day you saw next. Your regular routes don't have next.
But they did in the parameter, just not.
Only today, not yesterday, not your to-do list, not your anything else. Those are normal routes. These are normal routes that you've written time and time again, right?
Yeah. But they have
Get with foo and get with bar. You put a name here, right? This is normal. You've done this lots and lots now, right? This is something new, it's something special. If you say app use and you give it this thing, then this will happen before that. That's what I'm trying to do.
So I think what he's trying to ask is like, it says next there, it says next in the other two, but does it just have to say next in the bottom two because the first one says it, so it needs to know that these are all.
That's a good point.
two.
I see. Thank you for clearing that up. We don't normally do that, do we? All right, let's get rid of it. Boom. Better. We don't need that for our regular routes. I cut and pasted from the lecture. That's what let's make sure it works, and then we'll talk about it.
What is like a real something you would put in the top one? There's actually no
Can't hear you.
There's no.
Oh, there's no view, so I gotta do, yeah, but it should just, oh, I don't have this set up yet. There we go. Okay, back to normalcy. Oh, let me get rid of this too. All right. Do you agree, or are you cool with this? Is up until today, this is what we've been doing time and time again. Yes. All right, but normally now we've been doing res, render, mustache page, right? But this will just return the text to the browser, right? Okay. Let me save that. Let me run that. Running it, going to the browser, hitting foo, all's good. It just returned foo, okay? Here, I'll click the refresh button so y'all can see. Boom, it returned foo. So this is what we've done time and time again. We have this res response, and lately we've been putting up mustache page, nothing this simple, right? Agreed? Cool? Okay. Here we go. Now I'm introducing this thing. This is what I'm calling an interceptor, for lack of a better word. This is the first time we've seen this. Okay? This interceptor gets, when I try to go to foo, Node will intercept it, and instead of sending it to foo, it's going to send it to this function, and when this calls next, it'll get to foo. That's the way this works. This special signature says, I'm an interceptor. If you want to go to foo or you want to go to bar, you're going to come to me first, and when I call next, I'll send you to where you're really going.
So is the next function, just like as an example, is that something like you would see on the liquor website where it always sends you to a page saying, hey, are you 21 yet? Before it ever will show you any pages of the website?
You could do that. You could write an interceptor, check the person's age, and send them to a page like that. Yes, you could do that.
You can also do this if like the password is needed and they try to enter.
That's what you're going to see shortly. When somebody tries to get to a page and they haven't entered the password yet, you're going to see, I think you're going to like this code project. You're going to send them to a login page. Yeah, sure. Okay, run this, and what we should see is the interceptor console log first, then the router, okay? We should see, hi there, I'm in the interceptor, and then we should see, if we're going to foo, we should see in foo. If we put next, where? Well, it's only scoped to this. The only thing that next is in this function. If I move here, compile here, I don't know what next is.
Okay, so I guess a better question would be, what if you put the added food above the function add?
Doesn't matter. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what order they're in.
It'll still run
Yeah.
next first.
Here we go. I'll move this up here.
So
Okay. It's not serial to the file, no. What happens here is, okay, so now I'm going to run this. I'm going to say go to foo, but Node is going to see this special signature, and it's going to do this first. Then next is going to go to foo. Okay, run this and watch it. Running it, going to foo. See? Oh, hold on. Gotta save it. Try it again. Don't make a liar out of me. Start it up in foo. It might be important. I might have lied. Yeah, thank you. I might have lied. Yeah, it does. It makes a difference what order they're in. Thank you for pointing that out. It makes a difference. I'll be danged. Java doesn't work that way. Okay. Yes, it makes a difference. Well, you want your use function to be before your roots. You want this, you want, I mean, the stating what it is. You want this to be before all your roots. Yeah. You know that.
Maybe that's why maybe that's why they had next in the parameters, so that it was like to let them know that it's next before that. Next before that.
It reads that way, doesn't it? And if you don't call next, your app just hangs. If you don't call next with parentheses there, nothing happens. It just sits in the browser, just spins forever waiting for something to be done. Or maybe it times out.
So if we're wanting to go to a different page that brings up a password, would we write that
Yeah.
inside the next parentheses?
Yeah, we wouldn't call next. Like, let's say we wanted to return something here. If we wanted to intercept and we do, how about, I'll just do it. Res.send. All right, send. Interceptor is sending response. But we don't call next then because we're done. You wouldn't say send and then call next. You do one or the other. Because if you're taking it over, you're going to send a response and then you don't want to call next and have that thing try to send a response as well.
So next is basically just there for a response inside of this.
If you're not handling it, you go to next, which is what it really was trying to get to. Here, let's run this and see what happens. Yeah, see, interceptor took over and returned instead of calling next. So the interceptor responded to this request instead of calling next and letting the real thing, the intended root respond. Okay? All right. 1 through 5 on interceptor. Cool. Now, okay, so all this thing did, I'm just going to, since we've done all this work, I'm not going to change it. If you go to the lecture, it does, okay, we need to do this because I need to show you what this request stop session does. Because that's what keeps track of your sessions. That's really the main. The other thing we just talked about, the interceptor, those were like the 2 or 3 learning objectives that we didn't do. And I just short-circuited it to that last one on the top. Okay? Which is really great because the other stuff goes this way, and that way, and this way, and that way. Just getting this bare stuff is good. Let's just take a quick look at that in case you want to read it.
You already have it.
Yeah, okay, did I? Okay. So in here, middleware describing appropriate use cases here, boom. This is the objective that we just went through. Middleware, next. Talked about next, and let's just look at their code. When do you call next? Who cares? Here, calling next. Boom. Right there. So this is that other learning objective that we didn't do, but it's pretty much, I'm going to intercept and I got to call next if I wanted to go to what it was really intended to go to. Okay, so this is that learning objective if you want to go look at it or you need to go back and reference something. I just want to see what they do next. And in this one, they just had home for the root. See, yeah, we don't, and this I don't want you to get into. So just see this invoking the next root? Stop. Don't read that. Just read calling next if you need to go somewhere. Okay, I'm going to put this in Slack. Right. I'm just gonna put this in Slack. If you want to read about intercept, God bless it, can't read that at all. If you want to read about interceptor, then look at the calling next section. Okay, and by that I mean this section here, calling next. Come on, mouse. Just read this. Do not go into the next section of invoking the next root. You guys read this last night? No. Did we make this visible? Did we read it, or is this first time? How was that? Okay. Back to this. Okay, so I want to reset my file now. I'm back to the point where I've changed the file on my file system a ton. I want to go back to what it originally was because what I want to show you about is session and how to use the session property on the request or the response or whatever it is. So I want to do this in get. I want to reset. I want to get rid of my changes. What am I going to do? Yep. So I'm going to do a get status, and I've changed app.js. So I'm going to do get checkout. I'm either going to do dot or I'm going to do app.js if I just want to do that one file, which happens to be dot means everything. If I had 4 or 5 things changed here and I did get checkout dot, all those changes would go away. And if I had 4 or 5 changes and I only wanted to reset one of the files, I would just use the file name. At the moment, I have one file, so dot and the one file name happen to be the same thing. Okay, so boom, and now I do a get status, and I'm back to where I was. And I go look at my code, and it's back to what it was on the branch, that when I originally got it. Now, back to this. So this is the interceptor function, right? Now, what we're going to do, and by the way, there's a cookie being passed back and forth. When my browser goes to this site, there's a cookie going back and forth, all right? So I know who the client is, who the browser is. So this right here is how you keep track of session. Request.session. That is the request comes in as a parameter, and we've done things on the request. We've done request.body, whatever the name is, right? Bailey, you did request.params. Maybe some of you who passed the yesterday or earlier today, when you click the, what was the button to? Complete to-do list thing. When you click that, you pass an ID over, and you might have used request.params.whatever to get that ID. We've all done in the body parser request.body.this, that, right? Okay. This is another thing on the request. This is request.session, and this is where we want to keep our session information. Okay. So let's go through this code. Right. So it's saying, is there a views property? If there's a views property on request.session, I'm going to save it in this variable. Okay? That's the first line of code. Set the variable to the views on request.session. This is called a property on this JavaScript. This is the JavaScript object. This is a JavaScript object. This is a property on this request.session. Views is a property on that JavaScript object. Okay, I hope that's not new. So all I'm doing is I'm going to save it off in this variable. Views, I'm setting to that property. Okay?
You didn't require sessions, correct? The session is.
This is there. It's there. The session is there. I didn't have to create that. It's always there. Node gives us that. Just like Node gives us request.body. Node gives us request.session. Okay. Views is something that's not there. Something that I'm going to, because you can add any property you want on the JavaScript object. That's the good thing with JavaScript about JavaScript objects. Yeah, he reminded me that, we are giving two copies of the frame. So it's what time is it now, please? What?
2:37.
All right, so 10 minutes, 2:47, unless, is 10 minutes not enough for anybody? Does anybody need more? All right, 10 minutes it is.
I love your face, but it's better than coming.
I am, I have been worked out, so one last thing to do in the to-do list, which is after I click the mark completed button, I need to get passed down to the second section.
Did you figure out how to add
Yes.
and to list?
Yeah, that was actually one of the first things I did. I just need to figure out. I did that. So long as I did something like that.
What did you do? Yeah.
Oh, you got it? I thought about doing it, but.
In there.